Do we really want to live in a way to please our Father's heart? I guess that would be a question we have to ask, right? And so many times I think we want that, but we just don't do it. We just don't do it. We get caught up in so many things. I've been reading this year and studying and got some latest statistics. Some of the latest statistics that are out is 65% of all men and women cheat on their spouse at least one time. 65%. Now, they don't all get divorced because they really love their spouse. You say, wait a minute, Brother Dane, that's an oxymoron. How can you really love your spouse and cheat on them? Well, the truth of it is, the same way we really love God and cheat on Him. Hello. Because if I ask you this morning, if you love God, what are you going to tell me?
Yes.
And if I ask you this morning, do you do things you know God doesn't want you to, what are you going to tell me?
Oh, yes. Oh, my.
Right? But see, the truth of the matter is, our marriage really needs to be important to us. Now let me give you a disclaimer before I jump off into this. If you've been divorced, you know, if you know me at all, that I'm not against you. And you know this sermon isn't against you. And you know, if you know me at all, that once you've got to remarried, you can't go back and undo, just like you can't unscramble an egg. And what your job now is to make this marriage just like it was your first one and the best one and the only one you ever have. Right? Y'all understand that, right? I want to make sure everybody here understands that, because I don't want to ever be accused of being mean, because I'm not mean. I don't want to ever be accused of anything unless you're accusing me of what the Bible teaches, and then that's what I want to be. Right? And the truth of that is so many times we don't let our loyalty to Jesus, and we don't let our loyalty to God, and we don't let our loyalty to our spouse help us make the right decisions. You know, if you really are struggling with something, a lot of times you'll go and ask somebody's opinion, won't you? And if you're really struggling with something, like I've been really struggling with something, and I went and asked somebody's opinions that I trust and love and adore and have complete confidence and faith that they're going to give me a godly answer, not just an answer Dane wants to hear. You understand what I'm saying? But a godly answer. And so when we think through our life, and we're walking through our life, and we're going through our life, then what if every decision we made, we did something like that, except it being with people other than your spouse, but you made that your spouse, and God the Father and God the Son was the ones you used for that advice. And we figure out exactly what we ought to do and how we ought to live and how things ought to go. Because the truth of it is, every marriage needs to be a first-chair marriage. Now let me tell you what a first-chair marriage looks like. Here's what the Bible says. For wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and He is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let it be wives be to their own husbands in everything. And then husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave Himself for it. See, first-chair spouses have a heart of loyalty to one another. See, I'm not just saying first-chair men. I'm not just saying first-chair women. I'm saying both. First-chair spouses have a heart of loyalty to one another and also to God. And they understand their role. You know what I understand the Bible says? The Bible says that a first-chair man is going to sit in his chair and he's going to love his wife. Now, he not only says he's going to love his wife, but he says he's going to love his wife as much as he loves himself. Now I got a question for you. If you never tell your wife anything, or you never ask your wife anything, or you only do what you want to do, are you loving your wife as much as you love yourself? No. You know, verse 21 says, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. In other words, you ought to be talking with one another and rationalizing things out with one another. It's not about an individual anymore. It's about us now. If I could just get this across to the entire United States of America, we'd be a better country. Marriage is an us theology, not a me theology. It's what's best for us. Oh, but that first chair woman, she sits in this chair. She says, I'm going to give my husband the help he needs. I'm going to be his helper. That's what the Bible says she's supposed to do. And the Bible says she submits to him, but she doesn't submit to a dictator. She submits to a man that loves her.
That's right.
And she's supposed to be submissive. And people get this stuff confused. Submissiveness doesn't mean you just do whatever he tells you to do. Submissiveness still involves communication. It still involves giving your opinion. It still involves working things out with your husband. You know, sometimes men do stupid things. Sometimes we get a little redneck, and you know the famous last word of a redneck is watch this, right? And you know, and I'll never forget that joke that I listened to one time, to where a father, his son had hit a home run, and he got excited that he'd hit a home run. Oh, my son's hit a home run, and he runs off and he heads home, and the little boy's there and he's crying because daddy's run off and left him, and the baseball coach comes over there and says, son, don't worry about it. As soon as your daddy gets home, your mom will send him right back. You know, sometimes we, rephrase that, all the time we need to talk with our wives so that we know what they know. You know, a man is smarter when he knows what he knows, and he knows what his wife knows. Did you know that? But too many times we want to deal treacherously with our wives and with our husbands. It ain't just one or the other, folks. Y'all know that, don't you? And we want to sit in this chair. And when we sit in this chair, then we don't go to what the Bible says. We go to how we feel. We go to what we want. And we want to sit in the treacherous chair. The treacherous chair, the man says, I'm the boss, you do what I tell you to. I ain't found that in Scripture yet, where God says you're the boss. Matter of fact, what I seem to see, what Scripture is saying is God says the man's the leader. When he's the head of the home, he's not the boss of the home, he's the leader of the home. And when he's the leader of the home, a leader is somebody you should want to follow, isn't it? Isn't it?
Right.
It should be somebody that's doing things to where he has a following, shouldn't it? And so many times we get that dictator type attitude, and then you know sometimes them women don't want to be submissive, even in the biblical manner. Well, you know, I work and I do this and I do that, and I got just as much right to do what I want to as he does. Well, you know, that's fine theology if you want world theology. If you want to hear what culture says. But that's not fine theology if you want to hear what the Bible says. Matter of fact, I've learned something about the Bible that I think is really important. That the man will never be in the first chair like he ought to be if that woman don't come alongside of him. You know, God looked down from heaven above himself, and he looked down and he seen man, and he said, you know what? I've got to help him. He did. He said, it is not good that man should be alone. He realized that man was needy. I'm a little needy. Are you a little needy? I'm talking to the men right now. You know, I found that most women seem to handle a lot of things emotionally better than men. Men just hide it. You know? But I want you to understand something. When it comes to our marriage, I don't want to be in the second chair. Do you? When it comes to my marriage, I want to be a loyal husband, and I want my wife to be a loyal wife, and I want us to have a marriage that represents godliness. Isn't that what you want in your marriage? And shouldn't that be what we teach our children?
Yes.
And grandchildren?
Yes.
If you're not married here this morning, raise your hand. Oh, now we got some of them on the front row raising hands. You know, you need to hear this message this morning. If you're married this morning, you need to hear this message as well, because I'm going to teach you some things. But I want you to understand that first chair husband, he's not only a leader, but he's a loyal leader. He's loyal to his wife, and he's loyal to his family. And I want you to understand that first chair wife, she's the best helper there ever was. Because she knows that's what the Bible tells her she is. She's a helper to her husband. He can't be as good without her. I cannot be as good without seeing you. I can be honest. I'm just being honest with you. If you want me to be the best pastor that I could possibly be for you, then you encourage her to be the best wife she can be for me. Because when she's the best wife she can be for me, I'm the best pastor I can be for you guys. That's just the way it is. That's the way the Bible says it is. That she's the helpmate. She's the one that comes alongside of me. So a first chair marriage then, if we want to look at a first chair marriage of a husband and wife being what they're supposed to be is going to have mental loyalty. Now this is really important. I'm not saying y'all crazy when I say mental loyalty. You know, I'm not talking about you, Elvis. I want you to know that first chair marriage has mental loyalty. Because you know where the problems normally start? Y'all know that, don't you? Y'all know where they start, don't you? I mean, we had an old-timey way of saying it, that when they passed out brains, you must have been hiding behind the door or something, you know, and didn't get him. I mean, but the truth of it is, we've all got brains, and we all use them the way we want to. But there needs to be mental loyalty, and there needs to be emotional loyalty. You're going to see a pattern here, is there's loyalty involved in each one of these. Between a husband and a wife. There needs to be physical loyalty. And then I just wanted to incorporate everything or encapsulate everything, so I put unconditional loyalty. And what that means is I'm going to be loyal to my wife if I'm in the first chair, no matter what. Right? And she's going to be loyal to me no matter what, sitting in the first chair. So many times we don't always stay in the first chair, do we? Isn't that right? Did I teach y'all last week how easy it is to slip out of the first chair into the second chair? Well, I'm telling you today that 65%, according to last year's statistics, of all married people in the United States of America have cheated on their spouse. Probably I was blown away by that. I was blown away by that. Did that blow you away when I told you that? It's kind of crazy. Crazy. But I don't want y'all going home and asking your wives have cheated on me or asking you how cheated. I'm not trying to start a fight this morning. I'm trying to get you in the first chair. Because that's where we belong. But The second chair is a chair of treachery. You know that scripture I read to you in the scripture reading this morning out of Malachi? What was going on there was the men of Israel were not treating their wives correctly. And yet they were still bringing their offerings, they were still bringing everything to the altar of God, and they were still laying things on the altar of God and asking for God's blessings and for God to pour His power out upon them and for everything to go well in their lives. And God wasn't answering. And He wasn't answering because He didn't hear them. He wasn't answering because they was mistreating their wives. They were dealing treacherously with their wives. And you know, there's another scripture in 2 Peter, I believe it is, where it says that if I don't have the right relationship with my wife, that my prayer life is hindered. Now I got a question for you. If God is this serious about a marriage, and He is, by the way, have y'all noticed that? I mean, God is so serious about marriage that He even says that if your spouse commits adultery against you, then if they're willing to ask for forgiveness, that you should take them back and make that marriage work. And that may be hard, right? But God says still do it. And God says that He doesn't want divorce. Doesn't He say that? Matter of fact, the Bible actually says God hates divorce. Not the divorced people. Not the people who commit divorce. But divorce itself, God hates it. Right? And so when we think about all these things, then we got to figure out, well, if God hates all this stuff, and if I really want to be, because I hope every one of you in here this morning want to sit in the first chair of your marriage. I hope you all want your children sitting in the first chair of your marriage. You know, and I understand you can't control your kids or your grandkids completely. I understand that. But you know, I am so tickled over the two that my children have married. I mean, Brittany and Jerry are wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful. And if my children ever did anything against either one of them, I'm going to take Brittany and Jerry's side. You know? I just want them to know that. Because the truth of it is, I want them to have a marriage that lasts forever. Don't you? Don't you want that for your children? And shouldn't you want it for yourself? Right? You know, I've watched people who've been married forever. And I've watched people who've lost their spouses after 50, 60 years. And I see something so precious. I will never lose this image out of my mind of the day that we took Miss Rebecca to have her colonoscopy done, and Mr. Runt had heart attack after heart attack after heart attack after heart attack, and he was going to be there. And he's there, and I'm there, and they do the colonoscopy, and they come out, and the doctor's got bad news. And the doctor comes out and he tells us that Miss Rebecca had cancer. And Runt just started crying. He just started crying sitting there. At that time they'd been married about 55, 56 years. He just started crying. And she's going to have surgery. And so the doctor walks back in, and Runt looks at me and he says, "Brother, what did I do?" I said, "Runt, you're doing it. You just keep loving Rebecca, and she's going to get through this surgery, and everything's going to be fine. We're just going to trust God with this, right? We're just going to trust God with this." And I remember between Rebecca's surgery, it was like 3 days before she had the surgery, and between her surgery, Runt had another heart attack. He'd had, I don't know, 8 or 9. He wasn't in very good health. And the day she had her surgery, I remember us being there, and I remember Rudd stayed in the hospital that night with his wife and slept in a chair beside her. Are you listening to me, folks? Let me tell you the rest of the story. When Rudd was in the service, Rebecca was real sick. And he took a chance on getting kicked out of the service. He would go AWOL every day. He was a cook. He worked in the kitchen. He would go AWOL every day to take food home and check on her. And come back. And never got caught. That same man that when he was a young man and loved his wife was that same man that when he was an old man loved his wife. Are you listening to me? Folks, your marriage is too important to ever let it go. It's too important. It's too important to God. It's too important to you. It's too important to your spouse. It's too important to your children. And you might even think, well, my wife and me arguing all the time is ruining our kids. No, it's not the arguing that's ruining your kids. It's the fact that y'all not loving each other enough that's ruining your kids. Because when you start loving each other enough, the arguments will go down. Won't they? And see, the bottom line is we got to get into the right mindset. Because I'm here to tell you this morning, we're supposed to sit in this chair. Well, I'm going to be real clear with this, okay? If you're a man or woman this morning, and you're married, the box that you should constantly keep your mind in is the never, never box. Let me tell you about the never, never box. The marriage partner in the never, never box has promised to remain faithful forever. The marriage partner in the never, never box, regardless of what's going on in the marriage, whether it be sickness, whether it be unemployment, whether it be hardships, whether it be unfaithfulness, whether it be hurt feelings, whether it be arguments, whether it be whatever, the person in that never, never box says, I'm here to stay, and it's my choice. It's my choice. We'll work through this. We'll get through this. We'll do this. We'll make this the best that we can possibly be. And I want you to know something. When you take the never, never box and you sit in this first chair in the never, never box, then your children and your grandchildren are going to learn something, and they're going to see something that they can emulate, that they can model, that they can bring to their marriage. That's why it's easier for kids to get a divorce if they come from a home where divorce has already happened. Because if mom and dad did it and they turned out okay, then it's okay for me to do it. But if mom and dad is honest with you, that divorce probably wasn't okay. That divorce was probably very hard on them. And even if that person wasn't treating them right, it was still hard on them, wasn't it? Because they was torn for their kids and torn about what's the right thing to do. But see, if you stay in the never, never box, this is where you'll sit. This is the chair you'll sit in. I want you to know that your pastor, when he done a study on the 3 chairs 15 years ago, he wrote in his book that he's going to stay in the never, never box. I want you to know that I'm going to be as faithful to Miss Cindy. That doesn't mean I'm going to do everything she likes. That doesn't mean that I'm the perfect husband. That doesn't mean that I'm the perfect husband in my eyes or her eyes. That just means that when it comes to my faithfulness, I'm going to sit in this chair. And let me let you in on something that needs to be said right now. If you've had a time when you didn't sit in this chair, and you slid over to this chair, you can go back. See, Satan wants to lie to people and tell you once you messed up, you're done. God's not done with anybody that wants a heart for God. Isn't. Is he?
No.
He's not done. Grandma, you got messed up on that. I confused her. See, I want you to get this. Being unfaithful is not an accident. Being unfaithful is a process.
That's right.
And here's how the process works. You leave the never, never box and you go to the hope not box. Well, I hope I never do something like that. But then you start to daydream about what life might be if you had a different partner. Well, you know, oh, so-and-so seems a lot nicer than my husband. Oh, so-and-so's a lot kinder to the children than my husband. He's not. Or, oh, so-and-so seems to be sweeter to her husband than my wife is. You know, it works both ways. You got it, right? And you get in that hope not box. And then you just start seeing another person and you start wondering, what if? Let me let y'all know. What if is never any good?
That's right.
It's never any good. And what it represents is the smallest, tiniest crack within your marriage. Because every marriage should be in the never, never box. Right? I'm going to stay faithful. Right? And if you're thinking of other things at all, then you've opened up the smallest, tiniest crack. It might even be a crack that's hard to see. But you've opened it up. And then once you've opened up the hope not box, then you're probably going to fall into the probably not box. Are you with me? The probably not box, that's where your mind begins to think about how attractive someone else is. How attractive they are. And to appreciate the attention someone else offers you. You know, oh, so-and-so's really been sweet to me. They've really been nice to me. You know, and some people just show people more attention than others do, don't they? Y'all know personalities are different, don't you? Not every spouse is going to be like 100% attentive, are they? Well, are they? No. But anyway, we've done slipped into that probably not box because we're following this process. And then once we get down to the probably not box, the next box is the maybe crisis box. And that's where you quit thinking about how loyal you ought to be to your spouse and you start thinking about being disloyal. You start thinking about, well, what if? And how would this work? And what would this look like? And then when you get past the maybe crisis box, you get to the probably will box. That's when you start having conversations with other people. That's when you start sharing things with other people about you personally that should only be shared with your spouse or your best friend of the same sex. Are you with me? And I know I've had people fuss at me and tell me, Brother Dane, I've got a best friend who's of the opposite sex and we would never do anything. Well, let me tell you something. You don't need a best friend of the opposite sex unless your wife's with you. I'm just going to tell you that. Because you're in the probably will box. You're in the probably will box. And the truth of it is, when you get to the probably will box, you're seriously looking around.
Right.
And then you get to the hope to box. But now you've decided your marriage is not worth it. It's not worth saving. You're actually considering breaking your vows of fidelity. You're seeking a divorce. You're thinking there's got to be something better than this. And you know, when you get to that hope to box, you know what the next one is, don't you? You know, the first one was the Never Never box. Well, this is close to the Never Never box, except on the opposite end is the Sever Sever box. And that's where the marriage is ended. The vows are broken. You've cheated and you've left your spouse because you got to the Sever Sever box. I've often wondered, how did we get there? Can you go back this morning to your wedding day? Can you go back to your wedding day? I still remember when they opened that door. She walked through that door. Do you? I thought the ugliest guy in the world just married one of the most beautiful people. I still remember my vows. You remember them? You know, those vows wasn't just between Cindy and myself. Those vows were between Cindy and myself and God.
That's right.
That's right.
Do you realize this, folks? I mean, I don't know if you've thought about this, to realize this, to understand this, but marriage was an institution of God before the church was an institution of God.
That's right.
We see the institution of marriage in Genesis, where God Himself says that a man should leave his father and mother and be joined unto his wife, and they shall become one. That's marriage. Doesn't matter what church we think it took place in, or how beautiful the ceremony was, or how wonderful this was, or what colors you chose, or how much it cost. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. I'm just saying that's not what makes the marriage. What makes the marriage is God the Father instituted marriage. And He says a man's supposed to leave his father and mother. That means I don't have to listen to Mama anymore. And I'm supposed to cleave unto Cindy. That doesn't mean she can't give me good advice, because she can. She does. She has. But it means that I don't let her run mine and Cindy's life, because that's not what her role is anymore. So somehow we get messed up out of the first chair, and we get over in the second chair, and I've showed you the process, but how do you fix the process? How do you fix? Well, that's what I want to close out with. How do you fix? You choose to forsake all competing relationships. Who did it tell you to love in Ephesians? You love your wife, or you submit to your husband, right? That's what it said, wasn't it? Did it say submit to everybody else's husband? Did it say love everybody else's wives? Now we know we're supposed to love everybody, but don't be wrong in your interpretation.
Amen.
This is specific type of love here.
Right.
For your wives. So we got to choose to forsake all competing relationships. Don't put yourself in compromising situations. That's right. I've got this philosophy that I try to follow is I try to make sure I don't do anything enough to where it would be considered a habit when it comes to another woman. You know what I'm saying? It's like counseling. If a woman comes in and wants to counsel with me 4 times, and if I haven't done her no good after 4 times, then somebody else needs to do the counseling. You understand what I'm trying to say? You know, I've told y'all before, if I'm broke down on the side of the road, you know, if I'm broke down on the side of the road and you come by, you stop picking me up because I need a ride. Okay, don't say, oh, Brother Dane won't ride with another woman. common sense, but there's got to be some protections put in place to make sure that we're forsaking any type of competing relationship. Because nobody should have the same spot in your life as your spouse has with you. Nobody. Nobody should be talking with you about things that your spouse is talking with you about. Nobody. Are you listening to me, folks? Say, I'm listening. Second thing, you got to choose to reorder your priorities and how you spend your time. If your marriage ain't what it ought to be, priorities are out of whack. I said a little earlier, marriage was instituted before the church was ever even thought of. But yet I've been a bad husband at times because I put the church ahead of my wife. And I've asked her to forgive me today. And I don't want to do that anymore. Are you with me? So, like last week when somebody texted me when I was on vacation, they wanted to talk to me and got mad at me a little bit because I didn't call them back. T-O-U-G-H. You know, I called them back this week and talked to them. Me and Cindy got a date scheduled, and you have something that's not an emergency, it'll wait. Because you know what I've learned? I've learned the reason why my priorities got out of whack is I quit dating my wife like I did before we got married. And when I started dating her again like I did before we got married, things got better. I know some of you guys say, "He done messed us up. Now my wife's going to expect me to start dating her." You purposely made her stay home day, didn't you, Greg? Third thing you got to do. Choose to show mercy when your spouse doesn't even deserve it. When they really do have an irritating habit. If you get too bent out of shape over irritating habits, videotape yourself. Just saying. Choose to show grace when you're married and faces real obstacles. Now, I'm so appreciative of grace, aren't you? I've said this so many times. I'm so glad that I lived during the period of grace instead of living under the period of the law. But yet, even though we live under grace today instead of the law, how many church members, how many Christians try to make it more about the law than they do about grace? You know what I'm trying to say? You didn't comb your hair right. Strike one. I'm glad I live under grace. But to be glad I live under grace means I should also be willing to show grace, right? Isn't that right?
Right.
Shouldn't you be willing to give what you receive? Now don't turn this on me and say, "Well, they give me bad, Brother Dane, so I can give them bad back." That's not what the Bible teaches. And the fifth thing is choose to forgive when your spouse hurts you. Because they will. I remember one time I told Cindy something that wasn't very nice. And I know it hurt her. And I've done it more than once because I've seen it on her face every time I've done it. You know what I'm trying to say? Come on, guys. Have you ever said something to your wife and you knew you messed up when you said it? Not because they're going to beat you, not because, but because you just shouldn't have said it. Right? I'm sure you've done it, Elvis. I am positive that you know. You know, I've done it. But see, if we use this and realize that scripture I read to you, how God wasn't hearing or wasn't accepting their offerings because they mistreated their wives, You know, folks, I believe God works the same way with women. I believe women aren't supposed to mistreat their husbands either. I don't think God's listening to your prayers either if you're mistreating your husband. You can be praying. You know, have you ever thought about this? We can be praying for hours every day and not getting any higher than the roof if we're not doing some other things right. Can you imagine that? That your prayers isn't even going anywhere? That'd be like filling your gas tank up with water. Car won't start. Tank's full. Won't start. Well, I just believe we ought to all commit this morning, no matter what your past has been, be a first chair spouse. And if you're not married right now, just remember this sermon for when you get married. Because if we're a second chair spouse, we're probably going to be a statistic someday. Are you listening to me? Because I've learned this. Because I'm a person too, if y'all haven't figured that out. I am a human being. I do cry and I do bleed when you cut me. That if we quit putting God at the forefront of our thoughts and our minds and our hearts and our prayers, then we'll get to the point that we'll use those final words. I'm done. And that definitely is not what God ever told you to do. No matter how you validate it, no matter how bad the other person is in your eyes, no matter how you swing it, color it, push it, say it, do it. Oh, you'll feel good about yourself because you'll validate it. But you won't be a first chair. That's where God's called us to sit, in the first chair. What if revival took place in America and people really fell in love with the Lord and they made Him first priority in marriages? The divorce rate went down to 5% instead of 50%. Because it would. It really would. Because when you really look at that book, it's more than a book, isn't it?
Yes.
It's God's holy word. When you really look at that and realize that if you divorce that person, even if they're the one that messed up, if you divorce them, then they're going to be living in adultery. Is that really what you want for them? And if you didn't have a reason to divorce them, and you divorced them anyway, and you go with someone else, then you're living in adultery. Is that really what you want? And when you're in the midst of your problems, you can think, oh, it's better than what I got now. That's what you think about this one question. If it really is better than what you got right now, why would God make getting a divorce so difficult? Why would God give us all these other things? This is like last week. I'm not putting any of y'all in any chairs. That's your job. But I want you to honestly ask yourself this morning, man and woman, is this the chair I sit in? And is this the chair I'll help my kids and my grandkids to sit in? Kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come to this time of invitation. Father God, we know this has been a really serious sermon. And Lord God, I know it's the one you've called me to preach today. So God, I hope that I've done well for what you've wanted. And Lord God, I hope I've done well to help your people to know some truths about marriage. And Lord, there may be people here this morning that are really really struggling in your marriage that may be ready to even call it quits. But God, I pray today they'll look at your word before they do. Father God, we all probably know somebody that's struggling in their marriage. If we could just sit down and just share some truths with them, maybe we can make a difference in their lives. So many times it just takes someone willing to love them and share. And so God, we just ask for that to take place. We love you, Lord Jesus. May you be glorified in this invitation. In Jesus'